Perfect. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 22 of the Bright Lights podcast. I'm your host, Deegs, joined as always by my two wonderful co-hosts, Mahoney.
Saw, dude.
And PT.
How's everyone doing today on this beautiful day of March Madness?
Yes, sir. The madness is here.
Or sadness.
Yeah, they're definitely already busted.
Yeah, in Mahoney's case.
Sadness. No, I'm good, dude. I only have one pick on the day that went south.
Hey, your Murray State pick is looking pretty good so far, man.
It is, but that Yale over LSU pick, no bueno.
I thought you picked Yale over LSU too.
Yeah.
The ending of that game was nuts.
Yeah.
But we're gonna kind of shy away from the madness today. Talk a little baseball. I think it's gonna be a strictly only baseball podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Few things, a couple house cleaning stuff before we get in here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Bright Lights Pod, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Check out sportsregime.com. That's where we're at right now too. Remember, podcast top left hand corner. Click on it. It'll take you to the Bright Lights podcast. All our stuff's going to be on there. 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts if you like it.
Or any star rating. Give us a 0. Let us know how we're doing.
If you think we're terrible, just give us a 0. I'll probably cry or something, but it's fine. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, that's just a bunch of basic stuff. And Mahoney, we're going to start talking to baseball, PT as well. So go ahead and get us into this, buddy.
Dude, it's baseball season. It's a great time. This is the best time of the year. We got hockey playoffs. We got March Madness. We got the beginning of baseball. And the baseball season is actually already kicked off with the Mariners and Athletics playing. Well, before we get into the extensions and the predictions of the standings, let's talk about Ichiro Suzuki a little bit.
I just brought this up because we were talking about this before. We totally forgot. I was going to bring it up, but yeah, dude, so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And just a couple of things I want to talk about is, one, the strike 3 call he had in his first at-bat was not strike 3, so screw that umpire. And second of all, his ground out, his last at-bat, how do you not call the man safe?
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I was like, because someone put a video of it. I mean, he was out.
Yeah, but it was a bang play.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ichiro. His last ever at-bat. Just call him safe, man. Call him safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, definitely heartwarming. I woke up and saw that. If you watch the video of him getting pulled out of the game, it's pretty intense. I've never seen a baseball stadium like that before, rocking like that.
Yeah.
And then the Yusei Kikuchi thing, when he gave him a hug, he started crying.
Yeah.
That hits home. Definitely, dude. Ichiro, obviously, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Some might say he's probably the greatest contact hitter of all time.
Up there for sure. Yep.
American League Rookie of the Year and MVP his first season. And, I mean, he's kind of like one of our guys, like one of our generation's guys, because he started playing pretty much around when we were all like 1 or 2 years old. And ever since we've all started watching baseball, Ichiro's been there. So it's definitely sad to see him go, but he's a fucking legend, dude. It's Ichiro.
Oh, Ichiro's the man. I remember all the backyard baseball games, all the 2K games, all the MLB The Show games. He was the man.
Of course.
I actually want to talk about one thing real quick before we get into everything with the whole Ichiro thing is the fact that MLB – I know everybody didn't know that he was retiring after this game, but it was on the table. And I feel that MLB did a disjustice kind of to the fans because if you think about it, 99% of this country was asleep while the game was going on.
Yeah.
I think it's just – it's great for Ichiro that he was able to retire in his home country where he started everything and got everything done. I know that was special to him. But for all of us here, all the people that he's our favorite player, all the people that really watched him over the past, he's been in the major leagues for 18 years. Well, 19 actually, if you count this year.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't publicize it enough because – I don't know. It's tough to think about how they could have publicized it, but
it's just short notice.
It's just tough.
He told him before the game, I'm retiring.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of figure out how that would have went, but I feel like it definitely would have been more special if the whole country knew that this was it. I bet you a lot more people would have woke up early to watch the game this morning.
I definitely would have been up.
I would have been up too. Yeah, if I knew it was Ichiro's last game. But yeah, so I think now it's time to talk about some of the. What
current
is it?
Bears still going.
Huh?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some of the current guys, dude.
Yeah, some of the current guys.
Ichiro's retired.
Ichiro's gone. Now time to move on to the future. We got 5 extensions to talk about in the past 3 days.
Everybody's getting a fucking extension nowadays.
So we'll start off with we're going to go down to Tampa. We're going to go down to Tampa.
2 big extensions for Tampa.
Yeah, we'll start with the smaller of the 2 with Brandon Lowe. He's their top prospect right now. He's actually on my fantasy baseball team. Got a lot of faith in the guy for this upcoming year. After they traded Jake Bowers, there's rumors going around that he might be on the big league club to start the year. After seeing this extension, I'm pretty sure that's a lock that he's going to be on the big league club. We'll get to the Eloy deal, but it's kind of like that where he hasn't been in the major leagues yet. Brandon Lowe actually has been in the major leagues.
He played a little bit last year.
Yeah, but he was awful at the time that he had last year. He started his career 0 for 18. Again, low risk deal. I mean, 6 years or I think it's 6 years, but really low money. It's really cheap.
It's $24 million, so $4 million a year.
Yeah,
it's
really cheap.
It's absolutely nothing.
It's a great deal. It's a great deal all around because
every single one of these extensions that was given out in the past 3 days are all really good deals.
Yeah, for both sides, really, if you think about it. Brandon Lowe, I hope he does well. It was a 6-year contract extension.
Yeah, so, 6 years for $24 million, yeah.
Now we're going to go over to Blake Snell, the Cy Young Award winner. And actually, it was funny today at baseball. We actually talked about it a little bit at baseball practice. Blake Snell, reigning Cy Young Award winner. I'm still not I know he had a great year, but I'm still not convinced that Blake Snell is the Snellzilla. He was just really bad a couple years ago. I think that's why he didn't get as much money as he probably deserved. The Rays probably told him, hey, we know you had a great year last year, but a couple years ago, you were sent down to the minors. So that's kind of why people are kind of shell-shocked that he didn't get, a ton of money that he probably deserved from winning the Cy Young. So I could see that's probably the reasons why he didn't get that money.
Yeah, I mean, him and Trevor Bauer are kind of in a similar situation. Like 2 years ago, Trevor Bauer had a 4.5 ERA, and he wasn't really that good. And then out of nowhere, he had last year, and he was outstanding. Kind of the same thing with Blake Snell. Blake Snell was really good last year. I think he had a sub-2 ERA. I
think it was hovering around there. Yeah,
he was a legitimate ace last year. I think if Chris Sale was healthy all year, there's a solid chance Snell might have even won the Cy Young Award without Chris Sale getting hurt, just because of how good he was. Again, buy low deal.
5 years, $50 million.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that if Snell was on this trajectory, that his arbitration years would have made him the highest paid arb pitcher ever. So it's a win-win for both sides. Snell gets guaranteed money, and the Rays get a potential ace for a fairly cheap contract through age 30 too. So he'll be coming out of his prime when he hits free agency. But yeah, really good deal. The Rays are really underratedly smart team. They don't spend a lot of money, but they make really good moves. The Tampa Bay Rays are a very good organization.
They really are.
This was a really good move by them, especially.
I definitely agree. So now let's stick with the AL. We're going to go over to Houston. We're going to talk about my boy Breggs. Bregman, he's the man. He's been clutch.
He's so good.
He's hilarious. If you guys follow, I don't know if you guys watch his YouTube videos, but they are fantastic. Honestly, with how young he is, he's still probably one of the best third basemen in the league.
He's top 5 for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
He deserved everything that he got from that deal. His deal, it was 5 years, $100 million with a $10 million signing bonus. Again, for top 5 third baseman in the league, that's a great deal for both sides.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna go on the limb and say that when this contract is up, he would have been underpaid, because this is a guy who is entering his prime.
I hope so. Yeah,
he's entering his prime. Last season, he was a legitimate MVP candidate. I think he's going to win an MVP at some point before this contract is up.
Also on my fantasy team.
A fantastic defensive third baseman too. He rakes. He's just a great ball player, dude. Alex Bregman is a man and a half. I don't know many people that don't like him. He's definitely top 5 third baseman. He's probably right in there in the conversation with Jose Ramirez for who's the third or fourth best third baseman in baseball. I think top 2 is pretty much locked in, but he's really good. He's a really good baseball player, and this is a really, really good contract for the Astros, considering that, again, he would have been a guy who his arbitration numbers would have been super high, and he would have hit the free agency market and possibly signed for a higher market value if he wins an MVP in the next year or two, which I could definitely see happening. So really good signing from the Astros. Again, super smart team. No one can argue that the Astros are not a super smart team. I would not be shocked if they extended Garrett Cole at some point this season to keep that core. Verlander's a free agent too. I think he'll hit the market, but Garrett Cole could legitimately be another extension candidate for, again, one of the smartest teams in baseball.
Yep, definitely agree. Now let's swing over to St. Louis. Let's go to the Arch. Paul Goldschmidt actually just happened 3-4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Great deal. What was it again? 5 years, 130.
5 years, 130. Yeah. He's 31. I think last year JD Martinez he got a 110 on the free agency market. Again, really good deal from the Cardinals. A lot of people are going to criticize his contract because Goldschmidt's 31. But when you get a guy who is other than Joey Votto, might be the best first baseman in baseball.
And it's debatable between him and Joey, too.
Yeah, the guy plays Gold Glove caliber defense every year. He's an MVP candidate. He hits for contact. He hits for power. So underrated. Now he's playing on kind of a more marquee franchise than the Diamondbacks, so hopefully he'll get some more respect, and the respect he rightfully deserves. But he's so good. It's unbelievable how good Paul Goldschmidt is. 130 for 5 years is roughly somewhere around $25 million per year. Obviously, there's incentives, but it's such a good deal by them. They traded away not that much to get him. They locked him up, and he's going to be their first baseman of the future, probably through the end of his career, which is good. Great move for the Cardinals. You get a guy who is the best at his position for fairly cheap. Always good.
Oh yeah, awesome. Now let's go up north to the Chi Town. Let's go to the south side. We've got Eloy. We've got Eloy for possibly 8 more years. Definitely 6. We signed to a 6-year deal, $43 million. With the last, we could make it a 2-year, an up to 8-year deal with the 2 club options at the end of that deal. If those 2 club options do happen, it would go up to 77 or like 73 million. Which, I mean, I know we haven't seen him in the big leagues yet, but again, this is a very good deal if Eloy becomes what he is said to be. I know around Chicago, I'm listening to all my White Sox podcasts. They're saying that Eloy, his ceiling is like he's going to be like a generation talent, but his worst he could be is Carlos Lee, and we all know Carlos Lee was a great baseball player. So if we can get a Carlos Lee kind of player with that kind of money, I would definitely be okay with that. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait to see Eloy up because now that we have this deal, I've seen I think it was Passan, a couple other guys.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, a couple guys said that he might or he will. Not definitely, but there's a good shot that he will start on the opening day roster, which is what the White Sox fan base needs.
Yeah, Eloy is really good. I've been saying it for a really long time. That trade for Quintana, unless the Cubs win a World Series because of it, which I highly doubt they will, that Eloy Quintana Cease trade is going to go down as probably one of the worst trades in a very, very long time. Almost as bad as James Shields for Tatis.
Yeah,
if he pans out to be what he's been in the minor leagues, and definitely maybe worse than that trade. But I agree. Eloy at his best is 40-plus home runs every single year. The defense is kind of shaky. He's got a cannon of an arm.
I have heard that we might move him to first after Abreu's gone.
It's possible, yeah. He's got the frame for it. What is he, like 6'4"?
Yeah.
He's a real big dude. I'm going to tell you right now, those 2 club options at the end, they're going to get exercised. So you'll have him for the next 8 years. And then that guy's going to hit the free agency market at the age of 28 and make a shit ton of money. So the White Sox better enjoy having him through 2028 because he's going to cost a ton of money after he hits that free agent market.
Yep.
But yeah, really good deal. Like I said earlier, every single extension, really good. I hope the Padres do this with Tatis. I think a lot of teams, you're going to start seeing a lot of guys, not just necessarily rookies, but a lot of guys in general, with how shitty, at least until the new CBA comes through in 2020, with how shitty the free agency market is and how guys like Gio Gonzalez are getting minor league contracts, or Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell are still not signed yet, which is insane to me with opening day a week away. But definitely guys are going to start signing extensions if they're happy. We saw Charlie Blackmon kind of started this thing, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. So that does it for our extension talks. And now,
the best part about this.
I'm pumped. I love doing these division breakdowns. It's fun to look and see what we can expect for this upcoming year. We all know that our predictions are probably going to be way off, but
I'm feeling good about these, dude. I don't know why. I wasn't feeling good about the National League West. I'm feeling good about these.
Yeah. So today we're going to stick with the NL. We're going to go to the NL East. We're going to the other side of the country. We'll go same order as last time. Mahoney will take it, then Deegs, then PT. So let's start it with the Braves. So the Braves subtracted some guys, not really too much. Rene Rivera, Kurt Suzuki, Lucas Duda, Ryan Flaherty, Brandon McCarthy, 2 retirement, Anibal Sanchez, Brad Brock, and Peter Moylan, who said he was retired but still says that he may want to come back. But so really nothing really hurt them there on the subtractions. But they got 2 additions, Josh Donaldson, which is a big one, and Brian McCann, who, all you guys in Braves country, if we have any Braves fan listening, I know you guys all love him. He's a homegrown boy. You guys needed a catcher. Brian McCann's a good fit, a good leadership role. Now, this is where I want to talk about the Braves, their prospects. We can see up to 5 starting pitcher prospects with the Braves this year. Is Mike Soroka, Kyle Wright, Bryce Wilson, Touki Toussaint, who actually is not, as of now, going to start in the big leagues, and then Luis Gohara. They're all great pitchers. All of them are in the top 100. This Braves team is kind of reminding me of how they were in the 90s. Their pitching staff, with how young they are right now, because right now they have Mike Fultonowitz and they've got a couple other guys, Julio Teheran. They're all right. They're a subpar starting rotation. But if these young guys turn out what they're going to be, it's going to be like that rotation in the 90s with Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz. It's going to be locked down. It's going to be exciting to watch. I have the Braves finishing in second place at 88 and 74. And I gave them a B for this offseason. I thought they definitely attended to what they needed to, and they didn't lose too much. And I think re-signing Markakis is what's really going to make this season great for them.
Yeah, dude. There might not be a team more loaded with talent, pitching-wise and offensively, than the Braves. Their whole team is absolutely loaded with talent. Offensively, it's the same. You have Acuna, Ozzie Albies. Freddie Freeman is so beyond good. He's right up there with Joey Votto and Paul Goldschmidt as the best first baseman in baseball. You have Markakis in the outfield, again, super good player, super underrated guy. Ender Inciarte is a stud. No one talks about him enough. So this team is really good, really good. They're very scary, and they're going to be very scary for a really long time. Obviously, Dansby Swanson, former number 1 overall pick, still looking for him to piece it together. But he's at worst, he's a really good defensive shortstop that can hit.
He's good 8 or 9 hole, yeah.
265, 270. He can run a little bit too. Biggest question mark I wrote down. There's 2 big question marks for me. Can Mike Fultonevich, Kevin Gausman, and Sean Newcomb, who are their current 1, 2, 3 guys on their depth chart. I know Tehran is starting opening day, but I'm just talking about in terms of talent, in my opinion, those are the 3 best guys. Can they repeat the success they had last season? Sean Newcomb was great. Kevin Gausman was really good after they acquired him after the deadline. And Mike Fultonevich had like a 2.5 ERA. He was a stud last year. Losing Anibal Sanchez does hurt. He had a really good year for them last year. I think he had like a sub 2.5 ERA, so that's really good. There is no other farm system in baseball other than the Padres that has this many pitching prospects in the top 100. Padres have 7, Braves have 5. I think those 5 of the Braves are going to be really good, especially Tuki Toussaint. He's really good, super underrated guy. I have him as potential dark horse. If I was a betting guy and did like Vegas odds, him as a Cy Young Award winner would not surprise me because he's really, really good. I would bet real low on that. The second concern for me is their bullpen. Really, other than their closer, who I think is Aroldis Vizcaíno, I'm pretty sure, their bullpen kind of sucks. They're definitely a team that I don't know why they haven't been calling Craig Kimbrell all offseason. He's nasty. He would fit in such a good fit for this team right here. But I could definitely see them adding a reliever at the deadline, multiple relievers potentially at the deadline. They need to do something about this bullpen because, especially concern of their pitching staff, they're going to have a strong bullpen. But again, a team loaded with offensive talent. I could definitely be wrong with this prediction, but just the pitching in the bullpen really concerns me as of right now. I gave him a B just because Donaldson, the addition is going to be good, but I think losing Brad Brock with how thin their bullpen is going to hurt them. So I have him going 85 and 77, which I believe is, it's good enough for fourth in the National League East. I have him finishing fourth. And I'm going to preface this right now. Every single team, the fourth place team, which is the Braves, and the team I'm going to have in first place are separated by 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good this division is. And also because every single time that all 4 of these teams play each other, I think it's going to be a dogfight. I don't have a single team in this division winning more than 90 games just because of how close and how I don't see it. I don't see a team coming out of this division having to play every other team that many times, winning more than 90 games. But yeah, Atlanta could finish fourth. They could finish first for all I care. I don't know. Right now, that's just a concern. I have them going 85 and 77.
All right, yeah. You guys covered a lot of good things. The Braves lost quite a bit. I love the Donaldson sign. Donaldson is just a great explosive player. He's someone fun on the team. He's good in the clubhouse. He's definitely going to bring a positive side that the Braves, they'll just add on to the Braves. The prospects, it's always a good feeling when you have really good prospects, and the fact that they have 5 starting pitchers that can possibly come up this year has to be feeling great to any Braves fan. That's always great. Deegs, you talked about their bullpen struggles. We looked also at another team that has great offensive explosion in the Cubs. That their downfall is their bullpen. So we know how important the bullpen is, and that I think that could definitely affect them this year with how tight this race will be for the NL East. So with that being said, I have the Braves going 85 and 77.
Baby.
Yeah, so that gets some in mind. That gets them good enough for third. And for their offseason, I gave them a B because I love that Donaldson signing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now let's go over. This is an interesting team right here in Washington.
I love talking about this team, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting team for sure with Washington. They lost not a lot besides Harper, but they lost Wieters, they lost Harper, Mark Reynolds, Tim Collins, Kelvin Herrera, and Greg Holland. Again, they didn't lose too much. I mean, Wieters was a subpar catcher. Bryce Harper, I mean, they're going to miss Bryce Harper, but if you asked me today how I felt about the Bryce Harper signing, I really don't think it's going to hurt the Nationals as much as everybody's saying. Mark Reynolds, Tim Collins, and Greg Holland were really just smaller guys that they're losing. Then Kelvin Herrera might actually hurt them a little bit because he was pretty good in their bullpen. But even though everybody's focusing with the Nationals losing Harper, they made a couple great additions for their team. Obviously, with the Corbin signing, they signed Dozier, they got Yan Gomes in the trade. Kurt Suzuki, Matt Adams, Anibal Sanchez, Trevor Rosenthal, Kyle Barklaw, and Tony Sipp. So improving the bullpen, finally getting a stable catcher who I think is very underrated in Yan Gomes. They made the team better than they were last year. And they've got 2 prospects that one of them I will know that they will be on the big league team this year. The other one's kind of up in the air. Outfield, Victor Robles. He's had his time in the league a little bit over the last couple of years, but this is the year now that Harper's gone that he's really going to get his shot. Guy can fly. He's got A+ speed. He's got A+ fielding. His hitting his hitting's there. It'll do, but really you're going to get him for his fielding and his speed. And then the interesting one that I want to talk about is their shortstop, Carter Kieboom. Um, he's been playing great all spring. He hit a bomb a couple of days ago. I forgot how far it went, but it was an absolute bomb. With Trey Turner at short, Trey Turner can also play in the outfield. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with that. The Nationals, I have them having like they 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 finished. I think after everything last year, I think they finished 2 games over 500. I've got them going 84 and 78, which is again this division is going to be really close. I have them finishing in fourth place with 84 wins. I gave them a B for this offseason.
Yeah, dude. The Nationals, for me, are one of the more interesting teams going into this year. You said, like you said, obviously that they lost Harper, so you lose a superstar, it's never going to be good. But there's no better team in baseball that could have afforded to lose Bryce Harper just because of the 2 young prospects they have. We saw Juan Soto last year was amazing. Had it not been for Acuna just taking off completely, definitely would have been the Rookie of the Year. And Victor Robles has been a top 5 prospect for the last 3 years. The dude can fly. He's Gold Glove caliber defense day in and day out. And I do think his bat will play. They lost Matt Wieters. They replaced him with Yan Gomes. That's an upgrade for me. Matt Adams is a really good bat off the bench. The biggest thing that stands out to me with the Nationals is I believe, hands down, and other than Cleveland, maybe Cleveland's the only team that can compete with them on this. They have the best rotation in baseball. Max Scherzer is arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now, depending on how you look at it. Steven Strasburg is a very good number two. Patrick Corbin. And then you go to the bottom of their rotation. Anibal Sanchez was so good last year for the Braves. He was really good with the Marlins a while ago, too. If he can even mildly repeat his success that he had last year, that's going to be 4 legitimate pitchers for the Nationals. And pitching always plays. Pitching wins games, so that's really good for them. Their bullpen got better. Kyle Barraclough was really good. Tony Sipp gives them a solid left-handed bat, a left-handed reliever to combat all the good left-handed bats they have to face in this division. So he's going to be really important for them. Mahoney, we talked about this the other day about Trevor Rosenthal. The guy throws gas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as if he can control it or not. He's looked meh. If he hones in and gets it done, that's going to be a solid piece for them. And Sean Doolittle is a really good closer, another left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen. He's very solid. For me, the 2 guys I'm looking at this year, Adam Eaton and Yan Gomes. Adam Eaton was out last year. They traded away Lucas Giolito for him, who at the time was a very highly touted prospect. I think he's going to have to step it up now that Harper's gone. And Yan Gomes, coming off a career season, he's
been raking in spring training.
If he keeps that going with the guys that they have around, Juan Soto, obviously Trey Turner is a very good player, an up-and-coming superstar. Anthony Rendon, super underrated guy, another guy that will probably get extended this offseason. He's a stud, legitimate MVP candidate in my opinion. And then you have Ryan Zimmerman, veteran presence, Robles, Brian Dozier, who I think is a really good fit for that team there. That's just a really overall solid team, in my opinion. So, surprisingly, I have the Nationals going 89 and 73 and for winning this division in first place.
Interesting.
I give them a B+ just because of their additions. Even though they lost guys, they filled those guys that they lost with better players, obviously, except for Harper, but they have the prospect capital to shed back and support themselves, even with Harper gone. So, yeah, B+, 89 and 73, and this is my team to win the National League East.
Yeah, I agree with you guys too. I don't think Harper's going to hurt them that much. I also love the additions with Dozier and Corbin. I love Corbin. He's electric on the mound. And the guy who I'm really excited about, we've already touched on too, Mahoney as well, is Victor Robles. This guy is going to, I believe it's this year, and I even picked him up on my fantasy because I believe it's this year is his year. With that being said, 87-75 is what I have them at. That puts them in second place, and I also just gave them a B-. I think that Harper's not going to hurt him that much, but you're losing a superstar as well. But like I said, Corbin and Dozier definitely puts them to that B level. So, yeah.
Yeah, so now we're going to go over to the team in the division that probably had the biggest offseason out of everybody in this division, and arguably probably one of the biggest offseasons in the league. We're going to go over to Philly. Um, they lost a little bit, nothing too much though. They lost Wilson Ramos. They lost Justin Bohr. They lost Asdrubal Cabrera, Jose Bautista, Luis Avalon, and Aaron Loop. Jose Bautista is still a free agent, so you never know what's going to happen with him. Justin Bohr was awful on the Phillies last year when they traded for him. And Wilson Ramos was kind of just meh. He was all right. Again, he's probably still one of the best catchers in the league, though. Um, Now, the additions is where Philly really made their step up in this division after having an amazing start to the season last year and just burning out of gas at the end. I feel like these additions really helped them out. A lot of people don't realize, but the Phillies did finish under 500 after that very hot start. They had an awful end of the season. So the additions that they had were McCutchen, Segura, Harper, Realmuto, David Robertson. And this next one I'm going to say, that not a lot of people know about it yet, but James Pazos from the Mariners, keep an eye on him, Jose Alvarez, and Juan Nicasio. So with the Phillies, I just feel like they got too tired at the end of the year last year, and getting these superstars who have been in the postseason and do have that mental capacity of playing a whole 162. A guy like McCutchen, great leadership presence, great head on his shoulder. Harper, he's been in the playoffs, even though hasn't won one. Real Muto hasn't been in a playoff either, but you know what? I'm interested to see what Real Muto does in the spotlight after being in Miami, where he was kind of the only spotlight for that Miami Marlins team. David Robertson, Yankees, he was in the spotlight, and remarkably, even the White Sox, he was in the spotlight a little bit when the Sox were in the playoff chase. I think it was 2012. But you know what? I'm excited to see this Philly team. They're actually one of the only teams that I think will win 90 games this year. But I will say that this Phillies team, even though with all the additions, I think their head coach is a big question mark. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works in Philly. I have them going 91 and 71, finishing in first place, and I gave them an A- for their offseason.
Yeah, dude. Like you said, no team in baseball, in my opinion at least, had a better offseason than the Phillies. They definitely made a ton of good acquisitions. Wilson Ramos, he's a good player. They lost him. They replaced him with a better player in JT Realmuto. That's always good when you lose someone and you replace them with a better player. Mm-hmm. They made acquisitions for five really solid players. Obviously, Harper, McCutchen, Realmuto, Segura, and David Robertson's a pretty under-talked about guy who's going to have a big impact for that team. For me, their starting pitching, Aaron Nola, bona fide ace, showed out last year. He was really good. The two guys I'm looking at, three guys actually. I'm looking at Jake Arrieta, see if he can kind of regain that form. Mm-hmm. Not as good with the Cubs, obviously, a little bit older now, but looking to see if he can live up to that contract he got. The two guys I'm looking at are Nick Pivetta and Zach Eflin. Can those guys take the next step and turn into 3 and 4 starters that will give the Phillies a fairly solid rotation? If they can do that, I could definitely see this team winning over 90 games. The big move for me, obviously, when you get Harper and McCutchen and you add that to a really good outfield with Asdrubal Herrera, the big move for me is that those two acquisitions allow Rhys Hoskins to move over to first base, where he's more comfortable. He's not an outfielder. That guy's going to be playing first base for them, and he doesn't have to worry about necessarily playing Gold Glove caliber defense and just focus on raking, which is what he does. He mashes. Obviously, you get JT Realmuto, who's the best hitting catcher in baseball right now, and Gene Segura, so underrated. If there was a need for them, J.P. Crawford really wasn't getting it done, even though he was a highly touted prospect. Gene Segura, the guy who hits for a ton of contact, gets on base, doesn't strike out a lot, a veteran presence as well. So I really like all the moves that this team made. The back end of their bullpen is really good with Pat Neshek, Dave Robertson, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Hector Neris. This is a really good overall team. That being said, I still think the Nationals are better just because there's not as much question marks with their pitching staff. So I'm going to give the Phillies an A+ for their offseason. Obviously, you get a guy like Bryce Harper and fill out the rest of your offseason with 4 really good players. That's going to garner an A+ for me, the best offseason in baseball. I have them going 88 and 74, 88 and 74, and finishing in second place, a game behind the Nationals.
Yeah, you guys basically touched on everything here. The Phillies won the Harper Sweepstakes. So what that does for them, it sells jerseys, it fills the stands. It's going to do a lot for them. He's a superstar. He's definitely going to put them over the edge. Mahoney, you touched on the fact that they kind of burn out, and I agree with you. Definitely with you getting some superstars in here with some experience in the playoffs will definitely help you stay, quote, conditioned or whatever you want to say. Yeah, but what I gave the Phillies, I gave them an A, obviously because they won the Harper Sweepstakes. They also got some other good key role players that will help them out as well. I gave the Phillies an 88 and 74 record that puts them in first place, and I gave them an A for their offseason.
Yeah, so now we're going to go to Draftneck Mark's team, the New York Mets. The Mets, they're a team that I'm actually really going to pay attention to this season. They're kind of going to be like my third team this season. They didn't lose a lot. They lost Jose Lobaton, Wilmer Flores, Jose Reyes, who's still a free agent, Austin Jackson, who is also still a free agent, Jerry Blevins, and AJ Ramos. They got a lot of people. They got Cano. They got Ramos. They got J.D. Davis, Adini Hechavarria, Keon Broxton, Jed Lowry, Edwin Diaz, Jurius Familia, Justin Wilson, Luis Avalon, and Hector Santiago. You know what? With this Mets team, they're a big question mark for this upcoming year. Being a New York team, they're always going to be on the spotlight. Last year, they did not do it. They had a rough year. I think the big thing is that they stay healthy. They had injuries with Syndergaard last year. The last couple of years, they had injuries with Cespedes the last couple of years. They're going to be an exciting team to watch. They definitely got their bullpen so much better. Getting Edwin Diaz, getting back Jurius Familia, which makes that trade to the A's look 1,000 times better. The Mets are looking good for this next year. They're definitely looking better than they were last year. And my boy Peter Alonso, he is their top prospect after trading Kalenic. Peter Alonso, who as of now looks like he's going to start on the minor league team, even though he should be on the major league roster because it's either Peter Alonso or they have another prospect at first base that's kind of washed up. Dom Smith, that's right.
Dom Smith, yeah.
Peter Alonso, I'm very pumped to see. Like I said a couple podcasts ago, he's my favorite to win Rookie of the Year in the NL. The Mets are going to be a great team to watch this year. They're going to be an exciting team to watch for sure. They've got the Flash with Edwin Diaz and Cano and Jurius Familia. This team's going to be good, and I'm pretty pumped to watch them play this year. I've got the Mets going 86 and 76 and finishing in third place, and I gave them a B for their offseason grade.
Yeah, dude. Obviously, the Mets have a really solid rotation. The top two, the 1-2 punch of Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom is really solid. Steven Matz looking to take that next step for them. Hopefully he does. I mean, this is a really good Mets team right now. They're kind of going under. Not really many people are talking about them, kind of because of obviously the Phillies and their moves, Washington, even the Braves. But the Mets could very well win this division. Their bullpen punch of Jurius Familia and Edwin Diaz, in my opinion, is the best 8-9 duo in all of baseball. Familia's always been good in New York. He struggled a little bit in Oakland, but New York's his home. He loves playing there. So I could really see him elevate his game. And then obviously Edwin Diaz had a historic season last year, almost broke the save record. So really excited to see how those two guys move going forward. This team is scattered with young talent. You got Amed Rosario at shortstop. You got their outfield of Conforto, Juan Lagares, and Brandon Nimmo. You have Peter Alonso at first base. Jeff McNeil is kind of a utility role or their second baseman of the future when Robinson Cano eventually hangs it up. The Cano and Lowry additions, pretty good signings, veteran presence. Cano is still good even though he's old. Lowry, if he stays healthy, going to be a good player. Big signing for me, in my opinion. The big key addition for them is going to be Wilson Ramos. The dude rakes. He's not very good defensively as a catcher, but who cares if you can hit the shit out of the ball? And that's what he does. He can hit. And, for a team that didn't really have good catching depth, to say the least, the last couple of years with Devin Mesoraco, Kevin Plawecki, this is a really good signing for them in Wilson Ramos. Peter Alonso, like you mentioned, I think he should start opening day for them. Honestly, the dude just hits for power. He was put on this planet to hit a shit ton of home runs. That's what he does. If this team can live up to what their potential is, and if the young guys can play well, it's a very scary team. I have some question marks still if those young guys will pan out. I'm not very high on Amed Rosario. I think he's a good player, but he's very overhyped in my opinion. And I'm not sure how the back end of their rotation is going to do. So for that reason, I did give him a B+, just because Edwin Diaz, Familia, and Ramos are all good signings for me, and they fit positions of need. I do have them, just like you, Mahoney, going 86 and 76 and finishing in third place in this division.
Yeah. At the beginning of when we kind of first started this podcast, we did predictions for free agency, and we were kind of going off on how the Mets weren't doing anything, and then all of a sudden they came out of nowhere and definitely surprised us for sure. With that being said, with all the additions they added, I gave them a B+ for free agency. It's going to be interesting to see how they do, how the puzzle pieces are put together, and see how everything works out. I have them going 84 and 78 and finishing fourth in that division.
Yeah, again, that division's going to be really tight. Probably the most fun division to watch in the league. Now, let's go to the bottom of the barrel here.
Can we talk about the Marlins for maybe 3 minutes max?
Let's do it. Someone put us on a clock right now.
All right, so the Marlins, they lost two people, Derek Dietrich, JT Realmuto. Got some additions, some veteran guys probably to teach up the younger guys. Curtis Granderson, who's a Chicago boy, Neil Walker, Jorge Alfaro, Sergio Romo, Riley Farrell, Austin Bryce, and Julian Fernandez. The saddest thing about this team, they have two players in the top 100 after trading away two MVPs and the best catcher in the league. Sixto Sanchez, who they got for Realmuto, and Sandy Alcantara, who I think is a homegrown boy for the Marlins.
I got him from the Ozuna trade.
So look at that. Two MVPs, they didn't get anything out of them. I have them finishing last, but I'll give my Marlins fans some hope. They're going to win 70 games this year. They're going to go 70 and 92, and I gave them a C for their offseason. They really didn't do much.
I write notes for every team before we do these. All I wrote for the Marlins notes was they're awful. I give them a B- because Sixto Sanchez is a pretty good player. I'm going to tell you right now, if the Padres last year didn't win 70 games in a worse NL West, I don't think there's a chance in hell the Marlins win 70 games in this loaded of a division. I have them going 60 and 162, finishing with the worst record in baseball. That's all. I have nothing else to say about them. That's it.
No, yeah, I'm with you guys. I didn't know they did anything in the offseason. I gave them a C because that's basically an average. They didn't do anything. They're definitely going to be at the bottom of this division. I have them going 68 and 94, being in last place with this division. How do we do, guys? Do we make it in the 3 minutes?
I think we did get in the 3 minutes. But you know what? We love doing this stuff. And you know what? Be ready for a lot of episodes this next upcoming week before the season starts. We still have 4 more division breakdowns to do.
We have a week, so we're gonna get on that.
4 episodes in probably 6 days. So
yeah.
We're going to go crazy these next couple of days. And we love it. We're pumped about it. So don't think that this is anything bad for us.
Hell yeah. I think that's all we got today, right?
Yeah, that's all we got. And that's all the baseball news. Nothing to talk about. Opening day in a week. MLB The Show comes out on Tuesday. It's going to be a great week. Great week.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for listening. We'll hopefully get a bunch of content out for you guys in the next 6 days. Hopefully this one comes out soon. And thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Have a good day, guys.
Perfect.